Before I introduce our feature readers, please remember that we are inviting both our live and our live streamed audiences to respond to the poems of the, for the poetry out of the new books of the feature readers this season. And then we're going to call for those poems to be submitted to our anthology in the new year. So any book from any featured reader our season, respond to any poem in any book, and please start writing poems. So if you feel inspired by John and Patrick, write down the names, the poems, get their books, and whip something up and work on it. It'll be great. You can read all the details about this on our website and also in our newsletter. So if you haven't signed up for the Planet Earth Poetry newsletter, if you could do that, that would be great, because then you can be included and you'll stay in the loop. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome John Rockford, who is a wordsmith, a practitioner of ritual arts, and a passionate lover of language. In addition to writing for his own enjoyment and for the pleasure of his muse, John teaches workshops on poetry, tarot, and esoteric spirituality, and he runs Leveret Press, a boutique publishing imprint and occult bookshop. John is kindly sponsored by JLRB Press in Nanaimo. Please welcome John. John Rockford.
Thank you. Good evening, beautiful people. You could have been in any number of cool Halloween parties tonight, but instead you came here to see Patrick and me. So thank you. Thank you. So one of the things that I did a few years ago that I think really kind of upgraded my writing was I started getting into really into writing haiku. And every one that I wrote, I adhered very strictly to the formula: 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. And I learned a lot about being succinct. And I also learned that within that incredibly limited format is infinity. And so this first haiku of 3 that I'm going to read to you is a revelation of that I discovered in a coffee shop. What's infinity? Customer-only bathrooms, diuretic drinks. I have a second haiku for you, which actually occurred in the same place. It was in Gastown in Vancouver at one of those types of places. And it goes like this. We don't serve dark roast. His man bun bobbled at me, and I was afraid. This last haiku I'm going to share with you, I still write everything by hand. I use these notebooks. I have a pile of them and I love them. And this is kind of, I was just going to flip through it for you. This is sort of like, this is a fairly accurate sort of depiction of kind of what the inside of my brain kind of looks like. And so this last haiku is called My Notebooks. Someday they'll find them and wonder where things went wrong. The womb, most likely. Thank you. So my favorite thing in all of life is to play with words. And I really think that the best word artists we have going right these days, as far as poets, are rap artists, hip hop lyricists. And so when I don't know what else to write, I write rap lyrics. And I have pages and pages and notebooks full of them. So I just, for an example, I wrote this last night while I was trying to think about what I was going to say in between poems. And it goes like this. Till the casket drops or the sun comes up, I'm going to keep filling my cup. I'm going to keep feeling the funk. I'm a fleet-fingered phenomenon, dreaming when the beat is on. And when it's off, I'm probably gone off tripping, ain't skipping the hit list. As God is my witness, I get permission and forgiveness before the close of business. My business closed, make a fine tableau on your bedroom flow, like the river runs. Sun-kissed rivulets spinning off of my tongue and sprung, like leaks on some surprised eardrums. You might hear some. I'm in my element, producer of elegance, absurdist embellishments. Accursed by everyone whose verses are worser, whose voices are harsher. I'm the monk in the cloister. I'm the punk that's more boisterous. Thunk my way around the obstacles, wrote the impossible, rolled up the scrolls, and rolled out a new gospel. I have hundreds of those. And sometimes when it kind of comes together in a little bit more of a, I don't know, orderly fashion, it turns into something like this next poem I will recite for you, which is kind of my statement of purpose as a poet and as a writer. And it's called Love Poet. What do I know? I'm just a love poet. Lips like slippers with these couplets. Have ballerinas twirling up the new republic. Have visions in deep trances. Now I'm making them public. Climb aboard. Come spin down these metaphors. One love makes y'all my metamours. One drug, I'm on it and finna make it yours. Ain't about stasis. I'm riding waves of cosmic forces. Y'all saddle sores need to tap the source, but don't take my word for it. What do I know? I'm just a love poet. Tongue like a flamenco strummer, turn cold winters to hot summers with parts of speech to start the beat and set hearts free. Pick up your feet. Take it from the one who knows it, not me. I'm just a love poet. Certain of my purpose to tap the flow and serve up a few syrupy doses before I blow it and spiral home to the origin of all poetry. I ain't original. My ancestors built this for me. Grasp the hilt of the sword that's meant for me. Receive blessings when I bend the knee, then serve them back with the deepest passion for witchcraft and word alchemy. The gifts I'm given. What's your gimmick? For me, I'm just in it. But what do I know? I'm just a love poet. Listen close. It's just my voice. The words come from the ghosts. It ain't a choice. I'm just doing what I'm supposed to, spreading deepest love to those I'm close to with heart and hands open. I'm mixing up stanza potions, and I'm making the hand motions that crash through canned notions of humanity. I ain't boasting, just trying to let my muse know the depth of my devotion with every breath and every word spoken. Stoke the fires till I retire from this commotion. I'm just striving for mastery before the tides of gravity drag me back into the cosmic ocean. Love until my heart cracks open and bleeds truth all over this only fitting epitaph for when I raise a mast and sail off into the unknown. I'm just a love poet. All right. I figured that because we're here in this place, I would read a poem that is a celebration of my own vanity. I love my library. I'm super into it, and I love my book collection, and I have organized my whole home around my library, and I now am indeed a occult bookseller. I have a bookshop called Leveret Press. Please check it out. I have cards. This poem is called Bibliophile. I immerse myself in books for the pleasure of their bodies that read like sommeliers' tasting notes, parchment, leather, vellum, cloth, for the scents of them, the textures, their heft in my palm, spines lovingly creased with age. I fill my home with bound pages for the pleasure of longing to find, to play new phrases over my tongue, translate language to languor, drift slowly through metaphors that paint in earth tones. I gather close these tomes, novels, poems, essays, magazines, for the pleasure of voyeuristic conceit, that someone might see my library and read me as one of those people, given to forgo the screen for the page. I give my space to writers' dreams, fingers freed to dance over inkscapes. My eyes chase, my mind races to follow, my heart's drumbeat. I give to the pleasure and the bitter sweet of closing a chapter, a back cover, a last page, recovering time that was lost again while I traipse through wondrous domains, universes away, born of ink stains and dog-eared pages. All right. I'm going to do something a bit unusual, which is, by the way, my favorite pickup line for you folks tonight. So I wrote this book last year. It's called The Medicine Woman and the Bard, and it is a psychedelic fable, and it is an offering of devotion to my muse, but it is also a love letter to all of my favorite storybook authors from when I was growing up until now. So when you read it, you'll be able to enjoy finding the references to things, and you'll feel smart and clever when you do. So in one of the chapters, the bard sings a song to the medicine woman, and I am going to sing that song to you. Let's try. Ere thorns did fend the roses' bloom, ere did the earth the past entomb, ere the deep the sea did claim, I have longed to know your name. Ere birds could fly and winds could blow, ere mountain tops were white with snow, ere waves could roar and rivers rush, I have longed to feel your touch. Ere the moon could wax and wane, ere skies could weep with springtime rain, ere stars could fall from heaven's grace, I have longed to see your face. Ere the kiss of sunset light, ere the darkness of the night, ere broken hearts could yet rejoice, I have longed to hear your voice. And ere the memories fade to naught, ere the time that I forgot, ere I have known the haunt of ghosts, I have longed to hold you close. Thank you. If you would like to know why the bard sings that song to the medicine woman, you will have to buy a copy of my book. If you would like to learn that song and sing it yourself, the sheet music is in the back.
Aww.
Okay, I have 2 more poems for you this evening. This first one I wrote because someone very dear to me expressed aloud her gratitude for her good fortune in life, but also her atheism and this sentiment that she didn't know to what or to whom she ought to offer her gratitude. And about 2 years ago, I was in a workplace accident and I was rushed off to the emergency room, and I was sitting in there feeling scared and not knowing what was going to happen, and surrounded by people in any number of states of distress. And that moment came to me, that feeling of how to be grateful to a God that you don't believe in. And so as I was sitting in the emergency room, I wrote this poem, and it's called How to Be Grateful to a God You Don't Believe in. Pray with gestures, not with words. Spoken petitions will merge with misguided cries for absurd fortune and fall to earth with weighty conceit. Favor falls upon the makers. Fate favors dreamers whose hands weave the dreams. While congregated faithful kneel to receive priestly words, broken as bread, diluted as wine, find yourself lost in beauty beyond any gospel's rendering. Kneel in soft grass, in fine sand, in fallen leaves. Touch the soil that leaves aeons of life beneath your fingernails. Lift your eyes. Receive every sacrament that transubstantiates sunlight into this green mosaic. Iron nails that tasted iron blood, stained with salvation, soon became only dust. But who can say if the vine that gave the crown of thorns still graces some low, stony wall? Look not to the pious, but to the silence, the stars that watch our tiny dominion and teach us to fall with passion and flame. Leave a trail of light in our wake. Find the chapel in the clouds, Wait patiently while the altar forms, the azure stained glass takes shape, and be baptized in this wind-painted grace. Listen to the trees sing their hymns, see them sway like a choir. Their sanctified space is ordained only by rainfall, with lichen and moss for its altar cloth. If no heaven waits when your eyes close, hold true love close and promise yourself your own soul, immortal, for all eternity is manifest in this moment. Feel yourself subsumed in its fullness. Commune with the waves. They may yet teach you of the womb, the cradle, the storm whose rains cry your same tears, grief and mirth in perfect cadence. Verses that may yet bind your heart like no holy book's pages. Witness the art made by the gods who laugh at their names, chance, fate. Gods who demand no faith, gods who ask no tithe, but time, given to play with the colors and shapes they leave scattered in their wake. Create without thought of praise, for your creation bids thanks, makes accord with all that makes, all that is wrought. Though someday all that is will rot away, stray often into love's perfect forge. Your breath bellows its flames. Your touch hammers madness into majesty, turns hardened hearts molten. In love's crucible, make gold of these lesser ores. And when careworn and spent, when lament and grief grind you against the unanswerable why, when you cast your gaze skyward, expect no replies, except the cries of gulls. This unbridged gulf of unbelief needs neither doctrine nor creed to design its span. You need only glance beside you, take my hand, and witness this miraculous happenstance that our hands in this moment wove the same dream. Thank you very much for your kind attention. This is my last poem of the night, and this is my favorite poem that I have ever written.
Oh.
John, why is this your favorite poem that you've ever written? I'm glad you asked. So 6 years ago, something truly wonderful happened in my life. I met my muse and I fell in love. And this poem is about a moment earlier on in our relationship when I realized that this was something really especially unique, not like I'd ever felt before. And it's a scene that I snapshotted in my mind. I mentally took a picture of this moment and I can recall it still so vividly now. And so in tribute to my muse, to whom I am deeply devoted, this is a love poem and it's called The Hymn. Freeze frame, mise en scène. Your darkened apartment, the afterglow. The rapture couldn't lift me from your bed. I turned my head. The lamplight caught you from across the room. You glanced over your shoulder. You couldn't have known that the poetry I'd later impose on this moment would fail so beautifully. I'd have to be an architect, a mathematician, an astronomer, a luthier, to grasp this curve of space and time, to trace this violin curve of your spine. You looked back to me, and it seemed that all geometry had found its measure in your neck and your hips, and you placed a finger to your lips, and the stars aligned along its axis, like the pyramids at Giza, like Stonehenge, a compass, a witch's circle, a sextant, your nightstand, your mattress. A smile teased the corners of your mouth, and there I found elusive truth for as long as it lasted, and resolved to write psalms to your long eyelashes and hymns to the texture of your skin. Thank you very much. Thank you for your kind attention. If you liked what I had to offer, please consider buying a copy of my book. They're $20. And I am also the curator, as Kieran mentioned, of Leveret Press, which is a new venture in publication and occult services and interesting books. I have cards at the table. Please help yourself. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Oh, that was amazing, John. I levitated out of the room when you sang. Holy cow. What a treat. Thank you. Everybody, like, isn't that amazing? Okay. Patrick Grace is a queer writer from Vancouver, BC, where he works as a managing editor of Plenitude Magazine. His poems have been published widely in Canadian literary magazines, including Best Canadian Poetry, Event, the Fiddlehead, the Malahat Review, Prairie Fire, Best Canadian, I've read it twice, Art Poetry Magazine, and more. His work has been a finalist for literary contests with CB2 and Prism International, and he also won the Malahat Review's Open Season Award for Poetry. He has 2 chapbooks, A Blurred Wind Swells Back for You and Dastardly, both here. And his debut poetry collection, which is also here, is Deviant and was published with the University of Alberta Press. Please welcome Patrick Grace.
Thanks. Thank you. Hi to everyone online. Hi to everyone here. John, that was so good. I don't do rap and I don't sing, so I think this is a good balance because my stuff is very different. So I'm going to read from all 3 of these. Actually, I'm going to read a couple from each of these, and I'm going to read some new stuff. So you're going to kind of get a bit of a sampler pack, as it were, tonight.
Yay.
So this one is part of a longer poem, A Blurred Wind Swirls Back for You. It came out last year with Turret House Press in Montreal. This one's called A Brazen Thing. The first thing he did with my number was call. I mean, who calls anyone anymore? The art of speaking a brazen thing. Lightning came, lightning lit the night. It gave us an easy in and ice to break. I slid the ice out the freezer. To be brave, buckled my fright. I walked in circles, closing every door he opened. With questions, he offered the follow-up. He's done this before. Spent time out east. Must be used to night flashes, violent clap. Did you learn anything new tonight about yourself? Rain flooding the gate, car running the engine, the dark gap. Slow listening, real feel. Orange light, I'll end it first. Tomorrow? At the start, when he shows you who he is, believe him. This next one is called Someday You Will Ache. And I read this poem at the open mic for PEP many years ago. So it's kind of nice. It's come full circle. Here it is. And Someday You Will Ache, it's actually a lyric taken from a song by Hole, which is Courtney Love's band. It was going to be the title of Deviant, but we kind of ran into some issues with music and lyrics, and I didn't want to get sued by Courtney Love. So. Not every driver wanted me dead that summer of broken yellow lights. I played chicken on the highway, and little by little the stars sped up, the men slowed down. I spread eagled over the asphalt. It was the warmest hug I'd ever received. It takes 19 minutes to swap out a tire. even less to ask forgiveness. You can't tackle me if I'm already down. Curb stomping creates the finest dance move. Thunder spread its roots beneath my ear. The water lowered a tunnel within me. That day I was capable of many things. Seeing my breath in summer, flying even, or giving credence to a fresh roadkill, the speed in which it left us. Every second a new wheel of opportunity presented itself. The curb reassured me things were looking up. I'm going to read a couple now from Deviant. This one is called Traffic Light, and it's about a traffic light that my older brother brought home one day when we were kids living in Vancouver. We don't really know where he got it from. But if you've ever seen a traffic light up close, they're really, really big. And he managed to hook it up in his room and he got the lights going. I don't know how. My mom was furious. I remember the night my brother came home dragging a stolen traffic light like a body. Late fall and my legs dangled out the bedroom window. Heavy rain sailing down, the sound like pennies on the corrugated shingles. He'd snuck out again, disappearing over the eaves trough in jeans and a black hoodie. Video game gunfire popped on repeat under his door. Those days he memorized monologues in his room and spoke them to the wall. The campfire scene from The Revenant, finding God in a squirrel. I tried the book but gave up, as often as we did in that house. Our lives yielded to the yellow. Mom fell asleep before dark under the rhododendrons. The familiar, the back gate and its broken wheel, the trample of my brother's boots, cigarette in his lips, that singular burning eye, sweet clove smoke. He pulled the light behind him with one hand, overgrown grass flattening under the weight. I waited for the back door, the inevitable grunt. This one weighed heavy on him for years, and for years after, he never gave up where he found it. 3 lights burning across his walls and blinks of stop, go, wait. This next poem is called Make Good. If I can find where it is in here. Oh, there it is. How do you intend it to end the road, its roar to nowhere, the habitual leaving we revisit, once a long age thaws, sullen in our forgetting? Did you return to make good on your boyhood instinct, playing animal, uncanny, the southern blur at the train's terminal gate? How does it begin? I know not to listen to the city braided in light, the second step, a heavy familiar. How much time before I guess myself back into that world saying, I am not afraid, you first. So I'm going to read, I've been writing a lot since the spring. My mother passed away in March and it gave me a lot of time to write because I wasn't working. I'm an elementary school teacher by trade, so I pretty much just took the whole spring off until summer. But a lot of my new stuff, it's about this big old creepy house that we lived in Vancouver. And so there's some poems about that, and there's some poems about my mom in here as well. This next one is called Look Out Below. When we were kids living in Vancouver, somebody actually broke into our house when we were sleeping, but we didn't ever know who it was or see it. They came in through the basement. So a lot of the stuff I'm writing is kind of about this stranger in the basement that we never saw. The final pillow fight match came down to a Saturday night, 2 tussled blunderbusses and onesies dying of giggles, front door wide open, standing fan broken in a closet somewhere. Warmer, warmest, we'd kill for some cold. Yellow foam lit up the couch's split floor. Mom popped out quick to Safeway for smokes and sundaes. Plack, plack, engine crapped out last week on the hill. Plack, plack, porch light dead, the porch scattered night long, sweat beads trapped in the windows. Time was precious, those minutes home alone. We could do anything, those precious minutes alone, the dark poured in. My sister wrapped her wrist in pillowcase, crowned herself feather propeller, spun her oversized fists at me. Limp Bizkit bounced on the TV. We bounced to Nookie, the reigning Much Music countdown champ. Look out below, the stranger busted down the basement door. Look out below, we swam a sea of spiked foam. Rabbits rattled in cages, my rib cage rattled, my rabbit hard, and steam, 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 glass steaming. Dark porch poured in, the stranger covered our house like a hand around a snow globe and shook. Foam confetti rained down. My sister crowned herself the reigning pillow fight champ. This next one's called The Curtain. My mom had a stroke 7 years ago, and she was in hospital for a long time before she moved to a care home. So I've got a lot of poems about spending time in hospitals and care homes. So this is The Curtain. They moved your room to a locked ward this time. To enter, I buzz and wait for a bored-looking nurse behind a desk to push a button after I push a button. A sign reads, no re-entry. I don't know what this means. My mom would never want to return, but she never leaves. No window view this time. You lie curled and bony on the bed with no sheet. I'm ashamed to look. Another rerun of Big Bang Theory blares on the TV. I hate the show because it's funny and this is not a funny place, but the remote is buried under your arm. The woman one bed over is suffering from dementia. She may need restraints at night, I hear from the hallway. In hospitals, there isn't much to do but listen through blue curtains. It's easier to see less. The woman asks for her son over and over and over. When she hears me settle into the plastic chair, she yells, Alfred, where have you been? And I say, I'm not Alfred. I've told her this before. Who am I without you? This is my mom, I say to the curtain. Nothing moves. Oh, that's not your mom. That's a crow with broken wings. She tries to come and go at all hours of the night, cawing softly in the dark. This next one's called hemiplegia. So hemiplegia is a stroke that just affects one side of the body. Keep everything, my mother whispered after the stroke split her body into hurricane and cloud. Me and my sister split the empty house into before and after, each box one of two factions. Everything from childhood, or she'll never know. Telly tea figurines, cat with fiddle, boy with toothache, painted mirror, lady in the orange dress, nag champa. Welcome to your new home. The body is a brick, a balloon, a frozen lake. Her eyes widen every visit. She wants to know what we have saved. Telescope? She mumbles. I pointed to the sky and cried, why her? Giant conch? I held it to my ear and listened for the rocky shore perspective. World, I'm more than happy to hear you out if you let me in on this sick joke. The aperture sighs a and my mother covers her face with her wrong hand, picking over words like damaged glass. This next one is called Shadow Show. It's about a closet in our old house in Vancouver that I used to just sort of go into and sit in. It was full of old clothes, boxes. I just used to kind of hide out in there and see what I could hear from downstairs in my family. Then I find the space behind the space. A wall opens and I'm all glee. I offer my hands to the rows of heavy clothes, the boxes destined for greatness. Our kimono era, chains and chains of paper ghosts, grade school God's eye unraveling its yellow yarn, the chaos of it. My sister is screaming somewhere in the outside. I pull her princess dress over my head. I haven't forgotten myself. I don't spend a lot of time on the how because the world spits out the same answer. You wouldn't believe the play of light and dark in here, the shadow show I scissor and puppet. So I've got one more poem. It's called Heterochromia. If you would like to purchase any of mine, both of these chapbooks are only $5. This one's $10. There's only two of these left. That's it. No more prints. There's 2 left. And there's only 3 of these. So you'll get your hands on the last copies. So Heterochromia is It's a condition with two different colored eyes. You usually see it in huskies, like one brown, one blue. End of August, unpacking upstairs, month-long camping trip over. I'm a real Boy Scout now. I can bite larger pieces. My sash is missing one badge, water. I traced the last signature on my tie-dye shirt. The boy with husky eyes, one brown, one blue. I covered them with my hands in the river, his name locked in my throat. Gentle collapse of summer. Outside the window, my brother slingshots a hornet's nest. It appeared one morning from nowhere, folds and folds of wood and saliva. He hightails it into the house, screeches, "Doombies!" I almost cried at the sound our dog made, tongue struggling toward her nape. That's the thing about pain. It enters the body over and over in places we can't reach. Thank you.